Believe it or not, I used AI in this scene. Can you guess what it is? We're gonna pull back the curtain because I want to show you some real examples of how I used AI in my series to make the story better, because some of the things that you saw, they were not entirely real. In the first episode of my series Chasing the Spark, I used this shot. This is a funeral scene because someone close to me had passed away, and it was important to me to show that because it explains why 2024 started on such a heavy note for me. Obviously, losing someone dear, it is heartbreaking, and I needed to communicate that visually, but of course I also wanted to keep things respectful, and I didn't want to share anything too personal, and naturally I didn't really film anything at the funeral. So the thing is, this actually isn't a video. It is a photo that I turned into a video using Adobe Firefly's image to video tool. Adobe Firefly is Adobe's AI technology. It is basically the creative brain behind all the new generative tools in Photoshop, in Premiere, and some of the web apps. It turns ideas into visuals. You type in a description and Adobe Firefly will generate what you describe, whether it is a photo or it is a video, for example, using Adobe's own trained models. So in this specific case, I use Adobe Firefly to bring this photo to life by turning it into a video, all AI generated. The thing about using such a tool is not just about adding movement or motion to a photo, it is about using that to tell a better story and evoke an emotion. This video is way more effective than if I would have just used the photo. A relatively new tool in Premiere that I personally am a huge fan of, also because it has saved me a few times, is this button right here. This is Generative Extend. Now, Generative Extend, it lets you extend the beginning or the end of a clip, both the video and the audio. Now, let's do a show of hands if you've ever wanted to use a clip that was just a few seconds or even just a few frames too short, cause same. We've all been there, right? You want to nail the moment, but it just cuts off right before it feels complete. Maybe someone's expression ends too soon, or maybe you just missed that extra beat that gives the scene more emotion, or to match it to the beat of the song. Or maybe you started filming just a second or two too late. It happened to, all of these things have happened to me. And this is why Gen Extend is such an amazing addition to Premiere. In my edit, I had this one specific shot that I wanted to hold on to just a little bit longer to let it really hit home. The original, it's just a little bit too quick, and adding a few extra frames or an extra second of me looking out of the window, it feels more impactful. And with Generative Extend, I thankfully could fix that. Adding just a few frames right here, it completely changed the feel of the scene. Sometimes that tiny bit of extra time, those few extra frames, they actually make all the difference. In this part of episode 3, I am hanging out with a friend and we're talking about photography, and since we're outside, it is impossible to control the environment. Let that be my challenge, because there's a kid crying in one of these clips.
I've wanted since as long as I've been
there is a wind gushing
constantly.
Honestly, the audio really didn't come out that great. But instead of panicking, there is thankfully a very easy and quick fix that also doesn't really require any audio editing skills. Let me show you how we went from this.
You get so caught up in shooting constantly. Jumping back to film just kind of brings you back to no, think about it.
To this.
When you get so caught up in shooting constantly, jumping back to film just kind of brings you back to no, think about it, pay attention, compose, find that moment.
To fix this, I used a tool called Adobe Podcast that offers an AI-powered audio tool called Enhance Speech. Now, this is a web-based audio tool. You can drop your audio or video file here and it will automatically enhance the audio for you. What I love about this tool is that you can actually bring back some of the background sounds or background noise to keep things natural, because if in this case we're outside and I remove all of the noise, it's gonna start to sound too clean and it doesn't really feel right. However, if for whatever reason the background noise just isn't working for you, you can rebuild it from scratch. You can rebuild that atmosphere and the ambient sounds with diegetic sound in post. Now, I've made a video about diegetic sound, which I will link in the description as well as at the end of the video. If you use Premiere, you might be wondering right now why I'm not just using Enhanced Speech in the Essential Sound panel, which is a very fair question. Is it any different? Well, I prefer the web-based tool because I feel like the sound just comes out a little bit richer, and I also have more control over the outcome because there is a slider for background noise, which you don't get in the Essential Sound panel right now.
When you get so caught up in shooting constantly, jumping back to film just kind of brings you back to no, think about it. When you get so caught up in shooting constantly, jumping back to film just kind of brings you back to no, think about it, pay attention, compose.
One tool that I am personally excited to see evolving more and more in the future is Adobe's AI video generator, text to video. Now, it does exactly what the name says it does. It generates a video based on a text prompt. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna take experimenting and trial and error to really learn how to write prompts that will give you exactly what you want. But once you get the hang of it, it is pretty wild what you can create. For example, I generated this sunset video using text to video. I wanted a way to show the passing of time just to make it clear that the next scene that you were going to watch is taking place on the following day. In Adobe Firefly's text to video, you can pick a model, you can set the resolution and aspect ratio. Now, I didn't end up using this clip in the final edit, I'm sorry. I just decided to go a different direction. But text to video still is an incredible tool if one, you forget to film a shot or you just don't have it, and two, you can find it in a B-roll library. And since it only generates up to 5 seconds, it is a tool that really can help you out when you're in a pinch. AI is such a tricky topic, and I hope that so far I've been able to show you how AI can be helpful as a creative and it's not necessarily a threat. Now, these AI tools specifically, I don't believe that they're replacing creativity. They're just giving us another way to bring our ideas to life. And as a creative, I personally see AI as an extension of that creative process, not as a replacement. And tools like Firefly and enhanced speech, they don't really create any meaning on its own. They just amplify the ideas that we already have, which allows me to stay focused on crafting the story and making a better story. And at the end of the day, creativity, it still comes from people. It comes from our experiences. It comes from our choices. It comes from our perspectives. And AI, at least these kind of tools, it just helps us express those ideas faster and with fewer limits. And that is why I personally appreciate the development of these kind of tools. Now, obviously, there's a lot more tools out there and there's a lot of controversy, which is why I wanted to, bring this up and share my perspective. And I think at the end of the day, as creatives, it is also about how we as creatives use the tool. And I don't think that there was anything wrong with using AI, whether that is assistive or generative, because I think that these generative tools are assistive as well and not necessarily a replacement for people. All right, next one. Whew, that got serious for a second. Now, this series, as you can imagine, it was a pretty big project and it was very dialogue heavy because there were a lot of confessionals, which means that we filmed a few interviews with myself, which were a lot to watch through. And this is where text-based editing in Premiere really helped. Now, I use this tool for every single video, not just a series, also tutorials. This video right here, I am using this tool. Because did you know that Premiere Pro can automatically transcribe the sources for you? So instead of scrubbing endlessly through footage, you can just read through the transcript and jump straight to the line that you're looking for. Now, if you don't have it turned on, or if you want to check if you do have it turned on, you can check that right here. Go to settings, and then media analysis and transcription, and then tick the box in front of automatically transcribe clips. This will make it so much easier to go through talking head videos or to find specific phrases on the timeline. For example, I use this, like I said, I use this all the time for all of my tutorials, for the series, and I usually use it to navigate on my timeline more efficiently. But you can also take it a step further and edit directly from the transcript, which is the text-based editing. You can delete a sentence right here and it will cut it out of the video on the timeline. Speaking of navigating the timeline, one of my favorite new additions to Premiere Pro this year has to be hands down, the search panel powered by Media Intelligence. Now, I know this sounds boring, but stick with me because honestly, I wish this existed way sooner and especially way before I started editing the series because it would have saved me so much time and it would have saved me so many headaches. Even though I keep my project pretty organized, if I can say so, dealing with nearly 2 terabytes of footage, finding that one specific clip, it is a lot of work. It doesn't matter how well organized you are, but in this panel, you can search for anything using normal words. You can search for drone and it'll show you all the source clips containing a drone, like visually containing a drone, or all of the shots that were shot with a drone. And you can narrow down the search by, for example, only looking for clips that are already on the timeline, which makes navigation on the timeline so much easier. You can choose to only search the metadata. It'll search through the dialogue as well. And I know this might sound boring because who gets excited about a search panel, but genuinely, this is a game changer for any edit that you'll make from now on. This is one of those tools that you didn't know that you needed until you do. Now you can check if you have this enabled in the same menu as before. Go to settings, media analysis and transcription, and then tick the box in front of analyze all imported media to visually search your projects. If you found these AI tools helpful, wait till you see what else Premiere can do, because there are so many hidden features that can really help you with your edits and really speed up your edits as well. And most people, they don't even know that they exist. So click on this video right here to be one of the few people that do. You.